Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, the podcast about music news and interviews. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're here today with our new friend Skyler Acord. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
What's up?
We should really put the.
It's on the board. I'm just like, I don't know which one I put it on.
It's like we would have to press it, and it's going to be like a game,
Yeah.
but we have to probably add
it's
that
gonna
in.
end up with like the cricket sound effect for
Like-
no reason. It's like, oh, no one
Yo,
cares.
what's up?
It's
Oh,
like,
shit, no one
Damn.
cares. Well, you're a prolific musician. Oh, I've learned what that word finally actually means, and now I use it in context all the time. Tell us a little bit about yourself, the projects you've worked on, what you got going on right now. Tell us all about that stuff.
Right, so most people who know me from my work with Issues, the band that I was in and did a bunch of records with for like most of my career. And then some people might know me from doing a cycle with 21 Pilots and like touring with them and stuff. And then now I kind of just do a lot of I do my solo stuff, my own stuff, and I'm focusing hard on that, and then doing a ton of co-writes, producing, writing for other bands, and playing for other people. Basically, like someone hits my inbox with a gig, and I do it. That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, that's fair.
It's kind of, I think, the music industry now. Like, I think most people are like, we make our own stuff, but we do quite a bit of songwriting and working with other artists too. So it just feels like there's a lot more collaboration now than I think there ever has been in especially like rock music.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing and a bad thing, because I feel like it's a good thing because collaboration, in my opinion, always makes your music better. But honestly, a lot of people kind of can't hang. So you know, it kind of for better or worse levels a playing field to where, like, if you're really not a sick band but you have a ton of Instagram followers or something, you can go to a producer and tell them like, I don't know, write me a thing that sounds like Sleep Token, and then you'll have like a decent song and it'll sound like all the other decent songs.
Yeah.
You know?
So do you feel like you're like in the position you're in, like you've written a lot of like super creative stuff, super interesting stuff, especially like in rock music and in a genre that probably has more bands that just want to sound like Bad Omen, Sleep Token now. Right. Do you feel like you're able to put like your flavor, your taste in there?
Yeah, but I'd rather less than more, to be honest, because I feel like anytime someone shows up with no ideas, I just write them an issue song, which is like fun, and I have obviously a shit ton of practice doing it. But it's always way more fun. Okay, example, I was just in Jacksonville with this band, Cloud9 Vibes, and I love them, but I don't love the name, to be honest. But they're a good band, and they're like trying to do a reggae metal thing, but not like, you know, anybody else who's doing the metal reggae kind of hybrid is kind of mixing like ska punk or like kind of dad rock metal, but like they want like, you know, like the soulful kind of heavy pop thing, which is like a big challenge. Like that's the kind of shit I want to do, is just like someone comes in with like a vision board that like doesn't make any sense, and then my job is to make it make sense. Yeah. If someone comes in with no ideas and then they just give me the reins, that's like the most boring day ever.
Oh.
So I'm just like, well, I could write a song for myself.
Yeah, like just be at home like, okay, this is now my new song, not your song.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about getting their approval, and they're going to be like, hey, this isn't what I want. Well, I just feel like you could have came with me with something.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, give me your order and we could figure it out. Yeah. But I see no order, and this is not a McDonald's.
Yeah, it's like going into the drive-thru and telling the person, surprise me.
Yeah.
And then you're mad when you're literally surprised, and you're like, well, I feel like this isn't my fault here.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I just feel, I guess, like, to your point is like, I hope that people aren't just trying. I think there's like a balance of like a band who wants to find success doing what is popular versus a band that is trying to maybe have a harder run with it, but the music itself like is interesting and creative, and you're working with people who are interesting and creative and can bring like a vision and that to it, and not just churn out, you know, the same radio rock and the same nonsense that we hear all the time. But I'm like, what's that balance like for a new artist who's like, I want attention, like I want people to listen to it, and all they want is the same, you know, schlock that we just do with every other artist. Right. But it's like, yeah, how do you balance that out? Like,
well, I feel like especially when you're new, the goal should never be to like write commercial music, because commercial music, it like it you don't have commercial music doesn't have fans. Like they don't have people buying your merch. There's no way to support yourself unless the industry deems you supportable. Like you need like the label, you need the manager, you need the team or whatever. So if you're writing commercial music, you like really commercial sounding stuff like, oh, we're gonna write for Octane, but you're like a local band, you know, and you don't know anybody at Octane, then you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
So I always feel like when a band first starts out, they always do themselves more favors if they just shoot to make the sickest thing possible. And if they're worried about like getting as much attention as possible, it's really more of a format thing than like a genre thing. It's like, how quickly do you get to the chorus? How long does it take to hear vocals? How long does it take to hear like the sickest part of the song? Just stuff like that. Like that's not genre specific at all. Like Cannibal Corpse has songs with choruses, like plenty of them.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of death metal bands actually have songs with choruses, and that's why you know, those are always the most popular songs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a thing of like, oh, you have to have a I don't know, you have to have a guy who sounds like post-hardcore in 2008 sing the chorus now, even though you're a death metal band. Like, no, that's lame.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your new songs you wrote for yourself.
Yeah.
It's You That I'm Missing. It was released just recently in July. Tell us what about this song and your vibes behind it, and what were you going for with it?
Well, yeah, that song, like vibe wise, I just wanted something faster because all my stuff is like I don't know, like I listen to a lot of R&B, and it's kind of like R&B kind of puts me in like a vibe tempo. But you know, I did a tour last year with Don Broco and the home team, and I just felt like that was kind of a big void. I was like, I want something that's gonna get people like moving and really exciting. So that was the initial idea, and I've been listening to a lot of Light Asylum, which is like just this kind of gothy darkwave synth whatever band from like forever ago. But yeah, I was just listening to a lot of them. I'm like, they do this do patu thing all the time. Just sounds sick. Let's just fucking go for it. Crank it to 11. And the idea behind the song is like, basically, you got to define your success or you'll lose everything that you like kind of work for. I feel like, and I've run into that, but I've never, I don't have the house on the hill, but like I've gotten close a bunch of times, and like I'm, in very much the grind set, and then there's just like so many situations where I'll slow down and be like, well, I should be enjoying myself more, or I should be like fostering my relationships more, calling my friends back, like what's my mom doing, So it's kind of from the perspective of like, what if you didn't do that and you had the house on the hill but you're alone? It's like a Citizen Kane thing, I guess.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, really, really deep here. Well, I think also it matches the vibe, because listening to it, I was like, oh, like this is like industrial goth. Like this is a vibe. And I thought it was funny in the presser. It's like for fans of 21 Pilots. And I'm like, well, I hit play and I'm like, I don't think that this is 21 Pilots. But like,
well, Trench, specifically Trench, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
a little bit.
Right?
I was like, realistic. It got to the chorus. I was like, okay, like this is where I can hear it a little bit, which is fine. But I think it's such an interesting blend of these different sounds that I feel in a lot of modern music, and even in like past music, we've never seen that type of energy blended together, but it's constructed really well. So you're not too thrown off by it when you hear those differences.
I appreciate it. And I guess I've just had a ton of experience making things mesh that shouldn't mesh in issues.
Yeah.
Like we did a pop country song on our second album,
Yep.
way before country was cool again.
I mean,
put like a weird crust punk riff in it,
Yeah. I mean, we back in January when the last shows were coming up, it was like, here's why Issues was like way too ahead of the time compared to considering all the music we listen to now is like, remember Issues and how fucking they did it like a decade ago? It's like, yeah, fuck, like they really did. And so, I mean, yeah, it's there's all these bands that were doing what became finally popular once like genre kind of died, and there was like opportunity to try interesting things, and to the point we made before, is like it's not searching for popularity, it's searching for like making something that means something. And now it's like, cool, genre's dead, Good thing all these bands are like, you know, we didn't find that success back in 2010, you know.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always the thing. It's like the first person to hit it is never the one that pops.
Yeah.
Almost never. Like the second or third maybe, but almost never the first. You know, for every Rage Against the Machine, you have a Fishbone.
Yeah.
Or I guess for every Sleep Token, you have an Issues. Or whatever. Obviously, they're doing something way different, you know. But it's like you have the trajectory every time. You have the avant-garde and people aren't quite ready for it, but then those fans kind of all funnel into the second wave of it. And then that second wave, for one reason or another, always just figures out how to make it like make more sense in the first wave.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, you know, the Home Team, Sleep Token, I don't know, probably more bands that I'm not thinking of. Plenty of bands are doing it really, really cool.
Yeah.
So
I throw Nightlife in there. There are homies from way back.
I saw that Hansel tweeted out earlier. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna have something when we were Young Fest for the homies out there." I'm like, "Homie, what?"
Yeah.
They're like my white whale. Like I've at this point done so much shit with like their entire scene, like the all around the DMV scene, but they're so like self-sufficient that they just like don't need me. I'm like, if we did an EP together, I think it would be insane.
Yeah.
I think it would pop off. I mean, the music they already have out now is insane. So I
Yeah.
think if you guys just like
Right.
got together, it would just that would be like the start of a new wave, and I think that's fine. I think it's what we need.
The new.
The new. And that'll be the title of the genre entirely
New.
as well.
The new.
The new.
I was gonna ask, how do you feel about this like heavy pop label that people have been kind of throwing around?
I think it's acceptable for what it is. Like, because I know the big one that is heavy pop centric is the Home Team. And listening to them and seeing them live, they definitely are this. They do incorporate a lot of heavier sounds in their music. But I would still say it's more like in that pop rock area. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that means that eventually they could market themselves as a pop rock band that plays on the radio. Because if we look back in like the early 2010s and like the 2000s, that type of music was popping off, and we're coming back into the indie sleaze movement where we want more dancey music. So this is dancey with a little bit of an edge, and it kind of all comes back in like a circle. It's just a little bit more improved.
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to stay too much to be like, oh no, we're still heavy in like emo and like hard rock. It's like, it's okay to get rid of that and just say we're pop rock, because I think that that's more accurate than what they're doing right now. But I think it's a good thing too. It's fun. I do like them. So it's not a bad thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting because you kind of made me think of something that Issues had to deal with a lot, is what people kind of like categorize as heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, is it the guitars? Is it the riffs? Or is it the vocals? Is it the drums? And I feel like if you just take the guitars and the riffs, no, the guitars and the rhythms, right? Of the Home Team, like you can put any notes on them. You could change them to atonal stuff, whatever. Then you have like a really heavy band because it's like literally 8 and 9 string guitars.
Yeah.
And like, you know, drop whatever. And like the riffs are like really like badass. But how it's packaged is in basically like Booger Sugar 2001 like pop music, right? So I feel like that's something too where people are kind of catching up to it, where with Issues we were like, yeah, we wanted the heavy and we wanted the pop, but we didn't want any heavy vocals at all if we could avoid it. And then we wanted as heavy instrumentals as possible.
Yeah.
So I feel like when people hear like kind of heavy, they usually think the opposite. They don't really consider the instrumental as much, but if someone's screaming on it, then they're like, oh, this is heavy. I remember when I was a kid, now I'm ranting, but when I was a kid, I remember, no offense to Chiodos, but I cannot fucking stand that band. Ever since I was a kid, I used to fucking hate that band. And it's not because they're bad musicians. They're a good band. It's just like so incredibly not my thing, right?
Sure.
But I remember I had a friend who was like my gateway into like the emo post-hardcore thing. And he's like, bro, you got to check out the new Chiodos record. It's so heavy. And it sounded like the same shit from the last record, but now he's like screaming.
Yeah.
And I have the vivid memory of thinking like, God, I just wish this shit was metal. Just every time I go to Warped Tour, I'd be watching all these post-hardcore bands. Like, I just wish all of this was metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like because I feel like the home team, like I've known them for a really long time because we come up from the same scene, and they all come from like the local like Seattle metal scene, like death metal, and not like deathcore, like death metal. You know?
Yeah.
It's like the neckbeard old guy shit. Some deathcore. But basically, like I feel like when they write music, they still try to do album tracks and like try to like reach for like some weird shit on like track 7, track 9, whatever. I feel like that's not the format anymore. I feel like it's so single based because of how streaming treats like releases. Because if you put example on Spotify, if you put out 2 songs at the same time, you can focus on one and then you wasted the other. There's literally no point to ever do that ever. So if you have a 10-song album, you might as well basically have an entire year's worth of content. All 10 songs are a single, or you just wasted the label's money.
Yep.
So there's kind of no financial incentive ever to write something that's not a single. Not that there's ever financial incentive to do music in general, but
you get paid for
less.
This?
Yeah.
What's always funny is that like, so I teach college, and I'll like talk to students. I'm like, you don't go into music or radio to always be like, I'm gonna make so much money. I'm like, if you have that, please leave right now.
Yeah.
And then there'll be students are very like, no, and I'm like, homie, I've been in this a decade. I'm being so for
There's
real
no
with
money,
you right
man.
now.
We're out of money. We spent all that money in the 80s. It's been too
It's
long.
gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you a TikTok star? They're like, I don't use TikTok. Well, pack it
boy.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pack it up,
Get
go
started.
home.
Yeah, I feel like if money happens, sick. But the absolute best anyone can ever, I feel like, should ever bank on is to pay your bills and have all of your side hustles be related to your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one gig, not gonna do it anymore. Like, oh, my band blew up. Okay, great. How's your lesson business that you're teaching online every week? You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, you selling some courses? Like,
Like how is your influencer status going? Are you also producing? Are you writing? Are you charging
Right.
people $2,000 for your vocals? Are you pulling a Kellen Quinn and be on every single guest spot
Yeah.
that you possibly can, hustling?
yeah, I respect the hustle.
I love
I
it.
respect the grind.
I I don't think with certain people like Kellen Quinn it gets oversaturated. Like I don't mind seeing Kellen on a song. I feel like though there's gonna be like a certain level of oversaturation when it's like, hey, we need to do 5 things in order just to like make ends meet. And so it's in the public eye, it's like, all right, now you're annoying me. Like there's too much Kellen, there's too much Quinn.
Yeah, 100%. It's such a delicate balance. Like, I guess, like I feel like fans and participants, I guess, in the culture are still catching up to how poor all of their favorite bands are. So it's like when they see somebody with hundreds of thousands of followers peddling something to try to like pay for something or like a GoFundMe or something, they're still like, what? You know?
It's like the meet and greets, like paying for meet and greets. I'm like, dude, look, they don't make a lot of money. Like nobody makes a lot of money. The music doesn't sell. The tour is like breaking even.
Right.
Merch helps, but like, dude, they got to find
Merch
other
cuts.
Yeah, they got to find formats of revenue. Like, it's a thing. It may not be the greatest thing. It might suck, but especially for like a smaller band, it's like, dude, you know what? If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. But if you want to buy it, go do it. Like whatever.
100%.
You know,
I always thought that whole anti meet and greet thing was so fucking high and mighty. Like the only bands that were talking shit on it, we're basically talking from a point of like, oh, I can afford it. And a meet and greet to me would be extra money or an extra house or something.
Yeah.
Right? And like from my perspective, I'm like, that sounds like you don't know anybody who's not rich.
yeah.
Like sounds like all of your fucking friends are like greedy and playing arenas or something. Like I don't know, get to know the rest of the industry.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Healy.
Dude,
Get him.
I understand conceptually what he was saying in that thing. Like,
Yeah, I
it
understand
feels
he's
bad.
a pretentious asshole.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
listen, I love him for being a pretentious asshole, and I just get to be like,
yeah.
I love your music. I disagree with you on some things, and I agree with you on a lot of things. But I also am like, yeah, you are a very wealthy, like well-known musician. You are fine when it comes to just doing music and posting on Instagram. That can be the whole fucking thing you do for the rest of time. But if somebody is like, hey, I can't like make ends meet, I need to do a meet and greet, and you know what, you're saying like take the money myself, okay, like I'll take the $10 because like I need it. That
Dude, yeah, I mean, this is literally a business of panhandling. That is the entire art business. So anybody too proud to ask for money or beg for money, like you shouldn't be doing this shit. Like, and this is coming from, also for the record, I think he's full of just really, really dumb takes, but also I'm a huge fan of him. And I feel like we need a little like more rock star, cock starness anyway. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, talk your shit. But like, I just gotta go on record and say that shit is bullshit. Like, I don't know, man. Like, make your money how you can.
Yeah.
Henry Rollins had a great perspective on this. Basically, like, I think it was on the Henry Rollins show, so like early 2000s. But you know, hardcore went through this, like the first or second wave of hardcore, where finally all these bands were actually making money. You know, people were buying Bad Brains shirts, and like Sick of It All was touring with Korn and whatever. And he, on his show, he always had a rant at the end of the episode. And he's basically talking about like, you don't know what we all went through and what kind of floors we slept on and what kind of vehicles we were driving. Like, you don't know like the kind of genuine shit we had to kick for however many years. Like, if these bands that work this hard are finally able to like make money, and not just make money and like survive, but actually be comfortable, and you're shaming them, then shame on you. And I agree with that completely.
I'm waiting for like the inevitable. I know earlier this year, I forgot what news outlet publicized it, but they were interviewing this one band, and they were like probably like a mid-sized band. Like they've at least had a couple of like radio singles, and they were like, yeah, we have to get hotel rooms every night, and like we're just so poor and everything like this. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And then they would actually break down a little bit and say like, this is how much money we're spending. We aren't eating out all the time, or we're like going to gas stations. But then people were ragging on them because they were like, I'm getting a hotel room every single night instead of, you know, house hopping, couch surfing.
Yeah.
I think I remember that.
I'm trying to remember what band it was, but I don't remember. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 95% sure it was potentially a female lead, or at least a secondary vocalist female lead. But I remember reading it. I'm like, listen, I'm not a musician. I have no musical bone in my body, but I could tell you, someone who's not been on the business side, this is a lot of money being hemorrhaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not realistic for like any bands. I remember between, I'm like, you can talk to any of my actual friends right now who are in the Chicago scene, and they are not pulling this type of stuff.
No.
Yeah, no. I mean, the shitty thing is like that you're absolutely right, but like if there weren't so many middlemen, then it wouldn't be so unrealistic, you know, like especially with opening bands paying merch cuts. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, and then, you know, I love how everybody tries to play innocent, like, oh, I don't know, it's in the deal. I don't know. You know, it's like, but we all know whose fault it is. It's, first of all, Live Nations or whoever is booking the show. And then it's the booking agents who don't want to ruffle any feathers. And they, you know, it's like, if they don't ruffle any feathers, you get more Live Nation shit. Live Nation shit likes the booking agents that don't ruffle feathers, whatever. So it's always the suits. I have Trust No Suits tattooed on my body, by the way.
Love it.
And that is like absolutely the reason. I don't trust fucking anybody. I love all the people I work with, as people and as friends. But the second I'm like, okay, we're like entering a business like negotiation or whatever, I just understand the way the industry is set up. I am last in the line to make money.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I learned when I started like interning at studios in LA and stuff, is the only people in the studio that were poor were the bands. Everybody else was doing fine.
God.
Yeah.
The person making the product.
Right.
We'll get into a capitalism debate after. We'll stop recording, and then we'll be like, and here's the other problem with capitalism.
Yeah.
This
Very
podcast
on brand
is,
for the DNC ending last week here. And we're like, let's all talk about it.
This podcast is very different than what you probably thought it was. Emo music, the government.
It's all the same, dude.
It's all the same.
Emo music, the government of the entire alt rock scene. Discuss.
Yeah. You know, I'll say this. When the year turned over and I'm making all my like New Year's resolutions and New Year's lists and all that sort of stuff for like planning for 2024, I made a list of like, these are some of the bands that I want to interview. These are the people that I want to interview. And you were like one of the top ones, because I was like, Issues is ending. He's posting all of these like clips on TikTok talking about like what happened with the band and being very like upfront. The Sleep Token one post too, I was like, holy shit, that's so cool. That's so interesting. And like, I was just like, I just feel like I want to talk about Issues. I want to talk about like what that experience was, what all this. You kind of posted about it all this, so I don't know if there's like anything new that like you could say about it, because it feels like, you know, it all the history has been sort of posted, and all of the records of history.
Oh no, it hasn't. Definitely not. I don't even remember. I don't remember half the stuff you're talking about that I talked about. So it's all new to me still.
Damn.
But yeah, I mean, shit, dude. Like, I just felt like, okay, first of all, just, you know, to be completely real, I was trying to get people to know that I had a TikTok account. So I was like, how do I get people here? I was like, people don't like. I never talk to the internet. Like, people don't know anything. And I don't know. I just got like an infinite amount of stories, and I've been shit on and like cheated so many times by different, again, trust no suits. You know, and I don't know, it was like, what, let's violate some NDAs today.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
no one cares what the bass player says anyways. I can say anything I want.
You're gonna get like an email in like 3 years and be like, hey, we saw this. You're gonna be like, and
the suits.
it took you this long?
Trust no suits and trust no lawsuits. Listen, I think that it was such a very specific time, like especially like 2010. I've been like listening to a lot of bands around that time that I'm like, dude, all these bands got fucked over. Every single one of these bands got fucked over. Like, they had so much good music, so much good stuff, and like, you know, the art will never matter. And then the people just really took advantage of a lot of that. As, like, you know, we can call these things like a bygone era, hopefully, fingers crossed. Ideally,
no, we can't.
I mean, of course it's not. You know, people in power will always be people in power, but like, I don't know, it's like, if we're not like kind of having like, I think the thing that you did was make it more of like a nuanced instance of like, look, yeah, fuck people that like fuck over, you know, good people in the artistry and the musicianship of it all. But in the end, it's like, yeah, we still should have some control over the actual art that was produced outside of like the people that you think of when, you know, we're doing this art. Like, a lot of people have said, like, you know, there are other people in the band, and we can still enjoy the music and still think about like these songs and what they meant to like these people at that time. I don't know. I thought that was like the really like impactful part of the stories that you were telling, and like the fact that Issues did final shows at all.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big part of it. Is we just wanted to kind of like contextualize the history of Issues and what Issues did for the scene and for music and for fans or whatever, just with like a positive note. I mean, because like the last thing people had heard from us really was us getting COVIDed incredibly hard, and then by the way, we fired our singer, and then by the way, we're breaking up. Like, that sucks. Yeah. So we're like, yeah, let's stick a fork in it, and then at least give people a reason to like still enjoy this music. I mean, I listen to it. I don't care. Like, even though I'm traumatized.
How does it feel to like listen to the music again after it's like, oh well, all right, the worst shit happened to me because of this band, and also at least we made like some really fucking good music.
Yeah, honestly, I have to be with someone else who wants me to put it on, and then I enjoy it. I'll never listen to it myself because I'll just be sitting there thinking like, man, I remember that one time on tour when we did this or did that or whatever. So yeah, whatever. I love it. I still love it. I think Beautiful Oblivion is our best record. I'm super proud of that. So I don't care.
It was, and like listening back to it, like, damn, Sleep Token really owes you money. Fuck. Sleep Token owes you fucking money, dude. Like,
we're gonna clip this and then we're gonna be like, Mr. Sleep Token.
How are you gonna call him? Who are they?
Mr. Vessel.
No, we got their PR person.
Dr. Vess.
We have their PR person's contact. That's one way.
They're not responding.
Hello.
They're not checking.
Honestly, I feel like, you know, because I don't take any ownership over like anybody inspired by Issues, honestly. But I feel a strong sense of pride that I hear our fingerprints on bands that like are still doing it and like are doing it to such a high level and stuff. You know, because like especially Issues fans will talk to me about like, you know, oh, like the Sleep Token like took your thing, or the home team took your thing, or whatever. I'm like, well, first of all, nothing Sleep Token has ever done would have ever made it onto an Issues record, and probably vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a way different thing. Same with the home team, right? And second of all, that's like the whole point. Like I wanted to like push the music and push the genre to inspire other people to create something and give more and more people things to enjoy. Like why I take it as a big compliment that anyone's even like remotely influenced by us. And I feel like there's a lot of salt out there from people, you know, when like, you know, someone maybe is first to something and then, you know, the second wave, like we were talking about, they like explode, they get rich or whatever. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like you don't pick your hits. Like, I mean, and maybe someone just did it sicker than you. Like, it's fine, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the timing was better. Like, who cares? We're all doing our best out here.
Yeah.
Well, there's just some people who just build upon it, and they're just like, yeah, we're ground level, and then here's level 2, here's level 3, and then we just keep going until we cycle back, really.
It raises all boats. Like, it's
Right.
not as though, you know, there's not a world in which Issues and Sleep Token can exist simultaneously. Obviously, you went on tour together, and like, you know, it's like Sleep Token and people getting interested in Sleep Token goes, what else sounds like this, or what else has a similar vibe to it? And then they find Issues and they go, oh fuck, I love Issues too. Like, it's not that they can't exist simultaneously, or that someone cannot listen to both bands simultaneously.
Yeah, I always tell people a scene is way more powerful than a band. Like when there's like 10 bands that people can listen to like back to back to back to back that all like kind of tour with each other or whatever, like, and then they do tour with each other, and then that tour does like 10 times what any of them would do alone. Like that's when you really have a movement. I feel like people forget, you know, going back to the Octane thing, people forget that this is a business based on people and like kids. Like the entire music industry is propped up by 14 to 18-year-olds. And they have to care. Like, how are you going to make them care? You're going to write some shit for Octane? No, you're not. You're not going to get them to care.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's a whole book that was written about like just fangirls specifically and how they have curated and carried the music industry on its back with creating so many different fandoms and just so many different like crevices that other people would have never really done or probably seen. I mean, we talk about it like here and there, but it's like I see so many for all these other bands that are out there still on like Twitter all the time, and I'm like, you know what? Some of this is kind of annoying, but probably without some of these bands who are smaller would never have made it to the like the level that they are now.
100%. I mean, like there was this. I remember running into this a lot with Issues because like we had the heavy shit, and then we had like the really poppy stuff. So we had a lot of girl fans, and then we had a lot of like kind of crowd killy like hardcore fans who would be as violent as they could to make a point, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought it was bullshit to try to like demonize or poo-poo bands with like a lot of girl fans, because first of all, that's just incel behavior.
Yeah.
And second of all, like, I don't know, like that's half the fucking population. Like, why would a band or music be deemed less valuable because women like it? That's in my opinion, the exact fucking opposite. Like when it's all dudes, then that band, as soon as they're done, flash in the pan, no one cares about it forever.
Yeah.
But when it's like majority or a mixed bag like women, then like, or at least not just all dudes, right? Including non-binary, especially nowadays, like, you know, then that's when you can kind of tell the legacy is bigger than the band, I feel. That's when you get like a Beatles or like a Metallica or something, right?
I think that's the biggest thing because guys don't have the same passion because there's a lot of, you know, just going into this, a lot more heteromasculinity tendencies to go into it. So they're not going to be like, I love this band, because they're going to say like, I wouldn't do that because that's effeminate. It's like, no, you can love a band and be happy and like proud and everything about that. That's not a gendered thing, but the construct of it is. Whereas women are going to be like, I don't care. I love this band and I'm going to tell everyone about it or do whatever they are going to do because they also want to see success from it, because they want to see everyone succeed.
Right.
Thank you for coming to my talk about media and gender structure.
Drop the mic, baby.
Imagine being a guy and being like, I want to make sure that these 5 guys on stage don't have any girls looking at them. We got to have a room full of dudes looking at other fucking dudes. It's only dudes in this room.
Do you hear that?
Don't have any women on stage. Don't have any women in front of the stage. Only dudes.
Don't let women in the pit because
Get out of the
can't
pit.
do it.
What are you going to do? Women.
You guys hear that story, that David Bowie story about his band, like over the Ziggy Stardust era, where they're all doing like glam shit, and his whole band was like north of England, like northern England, very masculine, like working class dudes, and he was like, guys, just please, just put the lipstick on, like, just please wear the tights, whatever. They're all pissed off about it, like, I'm not fucking doing this shit, it's fucking gay, whatever. And they play the show and they all get laid. So the next night they're all like, like, so how do you do this like eyeliner thing? They're all like trading fucking tips and shit. It's like, it's all right not to be a fucking like.
We're going to get to our 6 questions. What is the most emo song you are listening to right now?
Most emo song. Most emo song? All the songs I listen to are emo.
Damn.
Okay, there's I don't know if it's not emo at all, but it's like sad sounding. It's a song called Over the Hillside by the Blue Nile.
Okay.
It's like, have you ever heard of the term sophistopop?
God, no.
It's giving like Tumblr core.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, but like for like our parents or our parents' older brothers. It's like late 80s or whatever. But
okay.
It's like Sade,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. But if I had to pick an actual emo song, I've been going back to the old Billy Talent shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just played.
Yeah, they played
night?
in that All Your Friends Fest, I believe it was.
Yeah.
That's up in Canada.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always
Honestly,
been good.
that band, like, especially the like first couple records, I feel like America just missed it. Like,
Yep.
how? The only reason I caught it is because Seattle, we trade a lot of shit with Canada.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot more Canadian bands are starting. I know Billy Talent has been touring. They did a tour, I think, last year, and they played Avondale Music Hall here in Chicago. But I feel like more Canadian bands are starting to like tour more. Like Down with Webster reunited, and I love them. And I'm like, come to Chicago, we're right here. And Mariana's Trench too, another Canadian band.
My wife is obsessed with that band. It has been like since I've known her, and it's always been like, okay, yeah, this obviously dude can write his fucking ass off. And then the new stuff, I'm like, oh, this is like jamming. I love it.
They're such an underrated band that was always so big and so many like really niche caveats. And I'm like, how does no one like more know this band? Like, it's so crazy to me.
I guess we already had Fall Out Boy, and people were like, no.
Like, we have Fall Out Boy at home,
man.
I hate ourselves, right?
Always.
He wrote Call Me Maybe?
Oh, shit. I believe that. Oh, my God.
That sounds, yeah.
Bangertown.
Damn, Bangertown, USA.
Canada. He has a solo record, and the first single was featuring Chad Kroeger. It's a fucking banger.
He literally said, I'm calling all the Canadians right now.
There are 8 people in Canada. There's 8 artists in Canada.
Some 41's from Canada too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we claim them, so.
That's fine.
They had blonde tips. Like, they're not Canadian.
Our next question. What was the inspiration for It's You That I'm Missing?
It's You That I'm Missing kind of came from the thought experiment of what if I actually did get what I wanted, all the shit that I'm like grinding for, but then I didn't take stock of like what mattered on the way. So I get there and then I'm like alone, which is a big fear of mine. I'm like, what's the point if like you can't like bring your homies or bring your loved ones, or in my case, bring my wife and my dogs,
So it's about success. I think aspirational success, but like making sure you have, those things that you care about and love with you, and like sort of reminding yourself not to do that.
Like being grounded and not getting airhead status with it.
Yeah, and I also like I've moved a lot for my business. Like I'm in LA. I don't really like LA, but like I need to be here. And I don't have any old friends. Like sometimes I'll like text somebody I've known, for a long time or whatever, but like, I don't see anybody. I don't talk to anybody. I don't have like any old relationships. So my support system is like basically completely gone, minus my absolute like, literally my nuclear family. All my siblings are here, and my wife and my dogs. So, it's like it's kind of already happened to me. It's like I've moved and kind of jumped around so much, especially touring for so long. Like there's no one like really left because like I didn't take care of those relationships. I could still text them, I could still like do that, but now I'm not home. So it's important to take stock of that when you're busting your ass.
How is the music scene in the city that you're from?
So the Seattle music scene when I was coming up in it, and probably even still, 7 years behind, typically. It's like the rock and metal, really good. And by metal, I don't mean anything with a breakdown. If it has a breakdown, if it has any sort of relation to modern production, if Octane would ever play it, not that. I mean,
Okay.
like black metal, death metal, doom, stoner shit, whatever. I kind of came up in like the noise scene, black metal scene, crust punk scene, whatever. So like that shit and like the rock and grunge, basically anything that came out of like hipster shit, very healthy, very, very healthy. And then all the like metalcore stuff was, I mean, shit. When I was living there in 2013 still, 2014 maybe, and everybody was still on As I Lay Dying shit. Like, I shit you not. Like, like, I could not believe it. And then
It's like the one riff that the
right,
whatever it is.
I don't even know what riff that is. It's just the
but you know the riff, yeah. It's
right.
like the one riff.
And right around then they were starting to switch to like the Ghost Inside kind of melodic hardcore thing, but again, like 6-7 years behind. So yeah. So alternative stuff really needed the home team, I will say, very badly.
Now we're only 3 years behind in Seattle City.
I think like our perspective is like Seattle is still grunge even now, even like 25 years removed. It's like good. Yeah, grunge.
There's a lot of good shit. Like even still, like there's this band called Black Ends that's like killing it out there. It's like genuine grunge. There's a lot of like there's a black metal band called Uada that's doing a lot of cool things. They're about to tour with Morbid Angel. Like there's a really healthy music scene. There will always be a healthy music scene, but as soon as you invite like commercialism into it, people suck. All the people who like have the potential to make money, they're not there. They need work. But all the fucking crusty underground shit is great.
I feel like that's just so like tried and true Seattle though. Like that's just what it is.
100%.
All right, our next question. Why was It's You That I'm Missing chosen as a single off of your last EP?
So the way I'm picking my singles is I'll write it and then I'll put it out.
There you go. You're like, damn, this is fire. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. I had a whole other EP, or I had all songs picked out on my EP, and then I hung out with my buddy Hiram Hernandez, who's a producer out here. He does a lot of cool shit, and we wrote It's You That I'm Missing. We probably wrote like, we wrote half of the chorus and kind of had a vibe for the verse, and I was like, this is awesome, and I just had a lot of caffeine that week and finished it, and I was like, fuck whatever track 3 was there before. Let me put this one out next. So, yeah, there's kind of a rough theme between all my EPs. There's a, True Viridian, which is the first one. That was kind of like finding myself by making the music that I wanted to make. So it's like all this like, I have a longer spiel, but basically it's like finding yourself in the middle, like between being like biracial or between being like a rocker and like a R&B head or whatever, right? And then this one is kind of one element of that kind of hopped up. So like a lot of pop kind of vibes, sophistopop, right? But then, still with the aggression and the intensity of like the metal shit that I like. And then the idea for the next one, because this one is True Vanity. The idea for the next one, which is going to be called True Violence, the rough kind of vibe is, I guess, obvious. Just like, I just want to write some like more intense, more aggressive shit.
Nice.
Hell yeah. You know we like that shit too.
Yeah, you'll like that shit.
I can't promise there'll be any breakdowns, but there will be riffs. There will
Listen,
be riffs.
if there's riffs, we're good. The breakdowns, you know, like the one big thing about issues always was like the riffs are there. The riffs are fucking going. And like it doesn't need a breakdown every time, but as long as there's like a good riff like that,
Right.
You know, the for lack of a better term now is like the new metal like riff or like the concept of new metal born out of like this more hardcore scene type of thing.
Yeah, I mean the issues thing like eventually just turned into like instead of like playing the breakdown on just like the open, let's just put a chord on stuff.
Yeah.
So we were still playing the same shit. We just weren't chugging the whole time.
Good.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do the chugging shit. Like metalcore in that time was like, let's just chug. It's like, okay, man.
I mean that's sick. No hate.
I love it. I'm just like, yeah, it's just every band does it. So like,
Right.
It had to grow out of that, you know, like we can't just keep chugging and then you do the chugging.
Right.
My old band was guilty of it. I've been listening to my old shit back and I'm like, dude, we just all chugs. Okay, good. Oh, and then you hit the one, you know, you hit the one,
yeah,
like the dirty one, you know, the sludgy one, and then you go back.
Oh
to
my
this.
God.
Yeah.
Honestly, it all goes in waves. Like I'll give it like 2-3 years. You start a metalcore band that sounds like 2010, you're going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread.
Listen,
Brian,
I hope so.
Reunion.
People are asking. No one is asking.
I'm asking. Our friends are
One
asking.
person is asking. 2 people have asked.
I'm asking. Now you got 3.
Yeah.
God,
Three's
there
a
you go.
crowd.
It's called.
Damn it.
It's called Shotgun Zombie. Go look it
No,
up.
don't look it up.
Shotgun Zombie.
Yeah.
Don't fucking look it up, dude. I finally like found the old files and was like, "Fucking, I'm putting it on Spotify."
Oh,
whatever.
hell yeah,
dude! So
1 month listener, is that you?
Probably. It's either me or a friend of mine that like, yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like threw it up there for like posterity. I'm like, I don't. need
Yeah,
anybody to
dude, you
listen
got
it.
to.
I
Yeah.
just like that every time we walk into one of our friends' house for a pregame, eventually one of the music videos will come up, and
Yeah,
I think
my
it's
friend
the
will throw up my old
funniest
music,
thing.
like,
I think it's
"Please
the funniest thing.
Please don't. It's the most like, dude, fuck SEO at the time was like, oh, Shotgun Zombie, and it's like, good. This is all like Modern Warfare 3,
Oh, yeah.
like zombies and shotguns and that. Like, great. No one will ever
Wasn't
find
Walking
this.
Dead like big during that time too?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
mostly Modern Warfare was like where like apparently zombie with a shotgun and all that. Like it made sense on the internet. I'm like, this isn't my band. Turns out nobody can just Google search it. Awesome. I appreciate this. I love that. It goes
Honestly,
into the ether and is gone.
Shotgun Zombie is a pretty good name. If you got a little bit above the noise, that's a good name.
Yeah.
That's a good ass name.
Yeah.
I'm really critical on names.
That's fair.
It's so hard, and yet you have to
Uh-huh.
find like such a good one, or you're fucked. It's forever fucked.
I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so
Please.
and song titles and titles for EPs and all this stuff because I feel like I do all right with like titles of stuff.
Yeah.
And the way I do it, let me see if I can find it. So basically, and this is like how I write songs too. I'll turn my brightness down. So basically, if I go into this note, you can see anytime I've ever been in a conversation,
Oh
someone
my
said something
God.
remotely interesting, I'm writing it down. Anytime I'm like, you know, someone's like, oh, that'd be a crazy band name. I'm like, that would be a crazy band
You're
name.
like,
It would be. You come back to it later and you're like, all right, I don't know how many beers I had before coming up with that one, but we're
Yeah,
going
and
with
you have to keep them all. If you start deleting them, it's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
You gotta
You know
have
what?
all the funny shit.
and then
Yeah.
once someone inevitably does have that, you're like, that's my name. I had that. That was in my
I
book.
call
Right.
it.
And
I
then you
call
have
dibs every time.
Yeah, I know. Brian is the mastermind that he comes up with like a name for anything. He buys the website.
I want to make sure no one can have it. I check how much it would cost if it's like a reasonable cost or like, you know, buy for 2 years for like $4. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Like, I'm taking that. It's mine now. It's like, well, we can't do this. We can't buy the website, which means somebody else will be able to like say, no, you can't have that name.
Yeah. That sounds like my brother-in-law does that. We'll always like come up with harebrained like business schemes because he's like really good at business. He has the opposite brain that I do. He also shreds a guitar, but he's like, actually, I want to make money.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't blame you.
You're like, that's kind of crazy, homie, but okay.
Yeah, right. And every time we come up with something, he's like, okay, yeah, I bought this domain name, this alternate spelling of the domain name, and the .com, .org, .biz. I'm like, bro, you're crazy.
And then they're just gonna sit there being owned. I'm like, God damn it, I'm
Right.
a landlord.
I'm a land. Yeah,
I'm an internet landlord.
someone's gonna hit you up and be like, "Hey, I want this. Can you sell it to me?"
One
And I'll
day.
be like, for $2,000.
All right, next question. What type of collab would you like to do, and with whom? I know you've collabed a lot. You work with a lot of artists, but is there anybody who like comes up as like, I really want to work with this person, make some cool shit with them?
Yeah. So there's a couple people, and they're kind of like semi-attainable because I'm mutuals with a bunch of people out here. But there's this guy Chris Griotti, who's a producer and songwriter and sick guitar player. Who we have like a ton of the same friends, but I've never met him. And he did that last Willow Smith record.
Oh, sick.
He did a bunch of Willow stuff, and he just does like so much cool stuff. And I'm just like, I feel like we would get in a room and I'd have a good time. Like, I don't know if I can do anything for him, but I would love to do some shit with him. And another one who is attainable is this indie guy Oberhofer. Is anybody aware of that band?
I'm not.
No.
So sometimes I'll play with him, and we, every time we try to like set up a session, some crazy shit always comes up. He's like a little bit of like a, I don't know, like which way the wind is blowing is very determinate on like what he does that day. So I would love to finish the song we started because it's real good. But yeah, that's my collab.
This is a call out.
It's a call out. Put it
Mhm.
on record. It's like, you got to finish it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's like 20 minutes away from me. I'm like, bro, why don't I ever
Oh.
see you?
Drive over,
Drive
man.
over and be like, knock, knock, let me in.
Yeah,
We're
honestly.
finishing this right now.
Sit down.
You are the wind that is going to
You're the-
determine
yeah.
his
I'm the-
day. Just
I'm
like
the
blow
wind.
on him and be like, now we're done. Let's go. All right. Our last question is, what are some future tour dates that you have coming up, if any?
So I don't have any tour dates booked yet, but that's on my to-do list to text my manager about getting something in the books. So I'm basically like, the goal is to have an EP release show this fall. I don't know if the whole EP is going to be out, at least all of them but one. The last one might come out like January or something because reasons, whatever. But I want to have an EP release show probably like November. And yeah, I want it to kind of like frame my music, because I feel like, especially on the internet, no one knows what I make. Like, it's not scene stuff, it's not metal stuff, it's not like connected to hardcore at all, right? So people are like genuinely don't know what it is. So I want to put on a show with some of my friends who also make like post-punk or darkwave or some kind of like, dark indie thing, whatever, and kind of just like curate a vibe. I just think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, a little bit like a,
Just kind of like set it in the right direction. Yeah.
like a show, but like more of a, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about like what Donald Glover's been doing with like the Childish Gambino releases and all that stuff, and like just it's a show. It's like, here's the album, here's all this stuff, but it's like really it's more of like a, let's all hang out and listen to like cool music and have some cool bands and all that kind of thing.
Totally. I love that vibe because I don't know. I have so many friends who I'm like, I love your music. Like, I would love to just do some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's how you build the community.
A scene.
How you build the scene.
How you build a scene.
Especially because darkwave and like goth music is starting to really come back up again. And I'm like,
Right.
ooh, there we go.
People are sad, but they don't know how to describe it, so they just need the sounds,
Right.
and the feeling. They need to let it go through them.
You have to get your goth dance on.
Yeah.
Exactly. See? There's TikTok tutorials on how to do it. You can learn.
I
bet there are. I haven't even thought of
First
that.
of all, that's the course that you're making to sell on
That's
our
my
website, chapelroan with 2Ns.com. You're selling that course. Well, those are all of our questions. I did. I don't know if this came over in the email that we sent you, but I did want to bring it up.
I sent it over.
I know.
Your manager said, sure. I don't
did
know
want
if
to
they
bring it
told
up.
you.
Now, I don't have it ready to go right this second. Now, for the audience at home, for the listeners at home, Warped Tour, the last year Warped Tour, I had friends in bands, and we were hanging out in the backstage area with all the vans, all the buses and all that. And you guys had a fucking TV set up to play Super Smash Brothers out back
Yes,
of the
we
van,
did.
out back
Yes,
of the
we
bus.
fucking did.
And my gamer ass is like, I see this and I go, yeah, I know that like there's a lot of bands out here that I love. I'm seeing like Senses Fail over here. I'm seeing like, you know, all these friends. I want to sit and play Smash. Like I gotta like sit and play Smash with these guys. And you just completely walloped me every fucking round. And you were like taking on all takers, but like just trouncing every single person that went up against you. And I almost had you. My 4th round against you, I was playing as Toon Link, and I almost had you.
Oh, you're tuners.
No, that was my 4th try. That was my 4th character.
Okay.
I was like, was this Ultimate? No, it wasn't Ultimate. It was definitely Brawl, right?
No. It was either Smash 4 or Ultimate.
Okay.
It's probably Smash 4.
Yeah, I think it was Smash 4. So I was trying to be a Cloud main, but I think I went up against it was Falco, and then I think I did regular Link. And then I was like, no, I think Toon Link is where I can like.
This sounds familiar. I think I remember this because it was getting pretty intense.
Yeah, there was like there were a lot of takers. There were a lot of people that were like waiting to jump in, and like you were just like, I'm gonna sit here the whole day. I'm gonna sit here the whole night and just take on anybody who wants to play me in Smash. And I was like, to my friends who were like all hanging out and like we're all, you know, there weren't really any beers around. Nobody like really had any alcohol, so we're all pretty sober. And then like my friends are like, yeah, so where have you been? I'm like, I've been in Smash. I've been playing Smash over there. I don't care about anything else. I care about Smash right now.
I care about the game.
I'm so into it. And I don't remember what your main was or is, if it still is your main.
I mean, I've switched a bunch, but it was probably Ganondorf.
Yeah, I thought it was Ganondorf.
Ganondorf's still my guy. Like, if I'm trying to like embarrass somebody, I pick Ganondorf. If I'm trying to like really like get sweaty, I got some other characters, right? Yeah. But yeah, that's my guy. But that road case was such a fucking like, it was such a boon because it like we just set it up on any sunny day behind our bus, and it would just attract band dudes like fucking flies to shit. Like, I made so many friends and met so many people that I like wouldn't have met otherwise just because we had Super Smash Bros behind, and people, you know, never fails. Every day someone would walk by and go, whoa, Super Smash, can I play? And like, yeah, it was just like a thing I do. But you got to be careful. Yeah, someone who cares enough to buy a road case with like a big screen TV for Smash Bros, it's probably gonna be pretty good.
They're probably
on a different level than you are.
Yeah, dude, that was like such a like. I realized in and of myself is like, this is a good opportunity as somebody not in a band or somebody who wasn't really doing anything at the time. I was just like, this is like a really good chance to like meet some idols and heroes before I had the podcast, before I could sit across from you here and talk to you like this. And I'm like, nah, dude, I have to beat Skyler at fucking Smash. I don't give a shit. I just have to beat him in Smash.
Honestly, though, like, you know, that probably happened, but you hang around that thing long enough and like some fucking motherfuckers come up, you know?
Yeah.
Like people from like big ass bands, cool ass bands doing it a long time. I can't remember all of that Wii U that we were using. You know, we basically made people, especially if they were in a band, we made people put their names in it just so we could have it.
Yeah.
And the bands represented were fucking insane. You know, it's like, I want to say we had a bunch of people from Bring Me the Horizon on it, 1OK Rock, Let Live, We the Kings, Wage War, whatever. And I'm sure like probably Following Reverse and shit. Basically, whoever was walking by and wanted to play, I'm like, yeah, put your name in. So like that Wii U kind of became a guest book of just like everybody who was fucking on Warped Tour we were touring with.
So cool.
That's awesome.
I think, where did that go? Honestly,
I still have it.
Gotta find it.
I know Tyler Carter stole the road. No, not stole. He took the road case.
Allegedly.
No, he definitely did. Because I went to the storage space. I was like, "Where's the road case?" Looking everywhere for it, and I was like,
You're like, Tyler.
Yeah, so he probably has it. You know, whatever. That's fine. Consolation prize. But yeah. So R.I.P. that Wii U.
Yeah. Well, we got Ultimate now. We got our Switches. The main problem is this studio that we're in right now doesn't have very good like internet, so it would be like playing off of like shitty Wi-Fi. And I have good internet at home, but I don't have my Switch set up yet. So
you know what's crazy? Can you hear me?
We'll try to set it up another time and be like, yeah, okay, let's actually do this and make it happen.
You know what's crazy is the second you started talking about your internet, I was about to talk shit, but then you started sounding like a robot.
Yeah,
And I was like,
Yeah, I
oh,
was
no,
about to
you're
say,
right.
you froze over here, and we're like,
Yep. I said it, and fucking Comcast
knew.
knew. They're like, no,
they can
don't
Right.
hear
talk
us.
shit.
Comcast is trying to save you from an ass whooping is what's happening.
Like, oh, do you think?
Oh, really?
Should you? I have not practiced much. I flew out to LA earlier this month, and I was like, I think that was my time to get back into Smash a little bit, like practice.
Nice.
And, like, I changed up my controls. I'm like, what if I like did it like this? I'm like, okay, I'm kind of doing it. I'm doing some like tight ass back airs. I got some like bunny hops. I'm like, I'm doing it. Finally, I'm like figuring out some techniques here. And you're gonna it's gonna be just rounds of pain for me. I guarantee it. I was kicking ass as Cloud though. I feel good with my Cloud now.
Yes, Smash 4 Cloud, not one to fuck with.
Yeah, not unless they're in my hands and I can't fucking do anything.
Oh no.
God
yeah,
damn
down
it.
tilted the ledge. It's whatever.
Yep.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Well, yeah, we'll set that up. We'll leave that as a teaser at the end for anybody who hears it to know. We're gonna do a Smash rematch at some point.
All right, well, I'm ready.
Until we do that, let people know where they can find you on the internet, where they can listen to your music, where they can support you, because there's no money in music. So where can they help you out and pay some money and meet and greet and all that?
Well, for those interested, my music is everywhere on YouTube's and Deezer's and Spotify's and Apple's and Amazon's, all the stuff. And if you want to support me, I have t-shirts and whatever merch store. There's vinyl for my first EP. And yeah, honestly, the biggest thing anyone could do to support me is follow on Spotify. That's like the single most powerful thing anyone can do for me.
Wow. Is there going to be a release of the live recordings from the Issues tour?
Yes, I was in the middle of finishing that up because it's taking forever. Yeah. There's supposed to be, and it's waiting on me to get through it all and like organize it and clean it up and send it. I'm basically fucking a paper pusher. So yeah, as soon as I finish that, yeah, it's going off to mixing.
Fantastic.
Is it from all of the shows, or is this from one specific show?
So we haven't totally decided, because basically like the vocals are going to determine that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're going to take drums from the best night or bass from the best night. No one's going to really care, but probably going to be mostly Atlanta. Outside of like maybe the drums will be from like the first Chicago night or something. But yeah, so I think that like it's going to be a pretty good representation of the last couple shows, and it's going to sound great because Chris Crumman's going to mix it. And probably the coolest thing is our vinyl that we're selling, that we're doing like pre-orders for. We've just been like working on the art right now, and it's going to be sick. It's just like a whole like booklet of like history and pictures and the whole thing, a proper farewell, something you could frame.
Oh, nice.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, and yeah, I have a couple schemes too. I don't know. I don't know if this is actually going to work. But one thing we want to do, don't quote me on this. Anybody listening, don't quote me on this. I'm trying it. Well, what we want to do is take the backdrop from the last shows, cut it up into like vinyl sized pieces, and the first 1,000 have like a piece of the backdrop in the record.
That's tight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's sick.
Might be cool.
Might be cool.
Could be
if
cool.
I can make it happen.
Yeah.
It might be complicated, but that's what we're trying to do. So don't quote me.
We'll clip this out and make sure that it happens that way, because now if it's on the internet, it has to be real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just reply with, "I'm just joking."
And then it comes out in like 3 months. You're like, actually.
Oh, here it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, requote me.
Requote. Well, Skyler, this is fucking awesome. It's so cool to talk to you. So cool to have you on. Thank you for giving us your time and giving us your stories and your energy on this. We'll be in touch. I'm gonna practice. We're coming back to this. We're gonna make some fucking content on Smash tournaments or whatever. But yeah, thank you again. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll be there for all of it, for all the rest of it.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for giving me a break from these Issues live tracks.